Hey guys, Mr. Marcus here, and as you can see, we're back with the Tottenham Hotspur Master League, and in today's episode we have 3 matches for you. Usually, that's what we usually do have. It's actually an average of all the Master League episodes I actually do. It usually is 3 matches. So in today's episode we have 2 matches from the Premier League and 1 from the Europa League. The last match of the group, not last match, the middle match of the group stage, the third match of the group stage against Ludogorets. So in today's episode we have 2 matches in the Premier League. His first match was against Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa are not a difficult side to face at all, and usually I struggle against them. It's really weird. They're not really that, like, their team isn't difficult to face. I just, for whatever reason, just do not do good against them at all. But for whatever reason, in this particular match, destruction occurs. Destruction occurs, okay? So eventually the game kicks off. For whatever reason I decided just to wait and show you that, because for whatever reason I decided I was getting myself mentally prepared for this particular match. And in the second minute of the match, basically from more or less from kickoff, Ericsson on the ball, plays it in the gas on Ramirez. Ramirez takes one strike and he pops in the back of the net on his right foot. He gives a 1-0 lead within the first 5 minutes of the match. Now, I thought, well, that's not really too special. It's only a goal in the first minutes. It's usually what I usually do anyway. But in the 23rd minute, in the 13th minute of the match, Benzema on the ball, plays in a really nice, what am I saying? He does a really nice roulette round with a couple of players. Doesn't really come to anything. Gets a strike away, and Guzan ends up getting a really nice, easy catch for it. But from that goal kick, well, from the kick, it doesn't really come to anything. John Terry picks up the ball and plays into Wilson. Wilson plays a really nice pass, cross pass to Luke Shaw down the left hand side. And for whatever reason, I keep playing it down this left hand side. But I think it's because Son and El Shaarawy are just ridiculously OP. And basically in the 19th minute of the match here, again, Benzema assisting another goal to give it to Ramirez, who scores his second goal of the game, make it 2-0 to us within the first 20 minutes of the match. In the 24th minute of the match here, Bailon on the ball, plays it into Andres Weimann. Weimann just takes one touch, gets a strike, but it's a pretty decent save from Hugo Lloris. But it comes back to Bailon, and Bailon just ends up putting it in the back of the net to make it 2-1. And you think, well, that game, it would make it a little bit more difficult. But in the end, it just sort of spurred me on to basically go and score more goals. As I see here, really nice finesse shot from Son from about 20 odd yards out, and just pops it back in the net. It again hits it off the crossbar, so it's so accurate that it's so high up that it hits it right off the crossbar. In the 45th minute of the match here, really nice cross in from Holberg, comes to nothing, comes it to Koke. However, Koke gets a strike away and he pops him back in the net again from just about 24-25 yards out, and it's just ridiculous how many goals I scored in that first half. So 4 goals scored in the first half, like the most I've won a game this season has been, what, 3-1, which was against Stoke. So, I mean, scoring 4 goals, pretty decent in the first half. 4-1 in the first half. As you can see, 6 shots, 5 on target, basically being extremely clinical. In the 53rd minute of the match, Gaston Ramirez gets his opportunity to get his hat-trick, and he takes the opportunity, scoring with his left foot after, again, another Karim Benzema assist. And Benzema assisted all 3 of his goals in this particular game, and Benzema, I think, so far has already assisted 9 goals or something. He's only scored like 3, but he's assisted 9, which is just crazy to think that he was a player I was expecting to score goals for me, and he's actually just assisting everything. But in the 74th minute of the match, he does all that hard work from literally nothing with a terrible finish at the end, because I'm just terrible at finishing with him. I'm really good at just basically being a beast with him in every other aspect. In the 95th minute of the match, he gets a strike away. It's a pretty decent defending block, I think, from their centre back. Not really sure who it was, but it doesn't matter, because our final score in this game was 5-1. Which is just ridiculous against someone like Aston Villa, who really should be posing a little bit more of a threat, considering they have the likes of Agbalmahor and Weimann. But with that being said, we're going to the second match of this episode, and it is against Hull City. Now, Hull City, of course, play 3 at the back. Technically changes to a 5 in the back if you have I forgot what the thing is even called. The thing where it changes the formation depending on if you have possession or not. But yeah, so sometimes they play a 5 at the back, sometimes they play a 3 at the back, and for some reason in this game I struggled against Hull City of all people. And I think it's getting to the point where, because I'm still unbeaten in the league, the game sort of notices that I'm unbeaten and it tries its hardest to beat me in terms of just playing the game. Like, it wants to make me lose the game, because once I lose a game, it will sort of reset the difficulty factor. It's really weird. Either it's mental for me or it's just the game actually physically does that. But to be fair, I did play a lot of young players in this match, like so David Stockdale played in goals, because I wanted to have a really David Stockdale, Yunus Kabul, Leon Osman, Scott Parker, like a lot of young players did play. Simon Pepe played at right back instead of Wilson, because I wanted to rest some players up for the Ludogorets match, which I have in the Europa League next, because I just wanted to basically get through the Ludogorets match, win the game relatively comfortably, make some substitutions, and then go back into the game after that with a relatively fresher squad. But It didn't really go to plan, to be honest, because for whatever reason their goalkeeper was insane in this match, and I don't know what it was. But in the 9th minute of the match here, after a really alright run from Nasser Chadli, Livermore picks up the ball, gives it to Sonia Luko, and Luko just plays a nice ball into Abel Hernandez. Ayan does nothing good defensively. Yunus Kabul is just terribly defensively, gets a strike away, and if it was any other goalie, he would save it. But because it's David Stockdale, rated 68 or whatever, he decides just to let it go right into the bottom of the corner, and Abel Hernandez gives Hull a 1-0 lead in the first half, which is just ridiculous, to be honest. But in the 45th minute of the match here, Andros Townsend nearly gets played for on goal from, I think it was Lamela, and again Benzo gets a strike away, comes to nothing, and from the resulting corner kick it comes to nothing again. The goalkeeper does a pretty decent job of collecting it. But as you see from the stats, which I will show in a second, the game was relatively boring. Nothing was really happening. There was only 4 shots in the game, but for some reason Hull were just keeping possession like they were Barcelona, and it was really off-putting. But in the 47th minute of the match here, we get a strike away with Eriksson. Again, Benzo does a pretty decent job, gets a strike away himself, and it hits off the post, and it just comes to nothing. We're just trying our hardest. I think I brought Eriksson on at half-time, because I hadn't played him from the start, of course. And then from that, like, we were trying our hardest to try and get the goals. And then eventually, in the 65th minute of the match, here, Benzo on the ball eventually plays it into Eriksson. Eriksson plays it, doesn't play it anyway, just runs with the ball a little bit. Gets past Livermore, gets the strike away, and again, the keeper, Kalahusk, does a really decent job of defending. But in the 80th minute of the match, here, Nasser Chadli on the ball, runs past Dragovic, gets the strike away, and he himself, this time, Nasser Chadli, puts him back in net to equalise make it 1-1 basically. It does a pretty decent job of celebrating, but I mean, I wanted to win this match because, you know, it's all about winning the matches. But I made a substitution that I wanted to bring Son Heung-min on earlier. But for some reason, the game took like 10 minutes to bring him on, and he came on like with like a minute left in the match. It was just ridiculous, to be honest. But Eriksson got the man of the match with 7.5 rating, and with that draw, we still end up being top of the table with 25 points, and Arsenal were actually second with 23, and Southampton was third with 22. So we're doing a pretty decent job of still being top of the table, but we're sort of struggling now in terms of scoring goals and actually playing well in matches. Either it's a psychological thing, or the game is just making it ridiculously hard for me to actually win games, which is probably half and half, to be honest. But anyway, going into the last game of this episode, it is against Ludogorets, and like I said, I wanted to play a relatively strong team against them, but not too strong a team. So the likes of Benzema didn't play because, of course, he played the last like 2 matches basically straight. But the likes of Luke Shaw came back in, Holberg played, Luke Wilson played, as you see here. Here's the team: John Terry, Eric Dyer, Luke Wilson, Luke Shaw. I'm going to assume it's Luke Wilson. I'm just going to call him Luke Wilson anyway. Koke, Osman, Ramirez, Townsend, and I think Sons up front. And Skorupski's in goal, and Skorupski isn't the best goalkeeper, but he's a pretty decent backup goalie just to have like rated 73 or whatever, compared to the 85 or 86 rated Hugo Lloris. When it comes to January, I'll probably look at like the situation I have with some of my players, maybe make some substitutions, some transfers, and change some players out. So for example, maybe look for another goalkeeper who's maybe a regen, who might be a young enough goalie, maybe rate like 70 odd, and maybe get another centre back who's rated relatively young as well to replace Yunus Kabul. So basically do a swap deal and get Yunus Kabul away from my club, because he's so old and he's just going to basically bring the overall defensive rate down. But in the first 5 minutes of this match against Ludogorets, Ramirez gets played for on goal, gets a strike away, and it's a pretty decent save from their goalkeeper. And it really comes to nothing with their clearance. And again, we get another opportunity with Leon Osman on the ball here. Plays it into the Son plays it into Andros Townsend. Townsend takes one touch, just ends up playing a really nice little... It's a really nice little ball into the near post, and it's one of those goals which, if it was in FIFA, you'd be complaining because it's a near post goal. But because it looks really realistic in this game, how the keeper does a pretty decent job of defending it, but like just can't seem to defend it properly, and then he like sort of just more or less doesn't really do good at his near post. It's quite interesting to see like in this game in comparison to FIFA, where basically the goalies just for every reason just abandon their near post on several occasions. But anyway, did a pretty decent little job of defending there, because I wasn't talking over it. And then in the last minutes of this first half, basically Son on the ball, waits for Andros Townsend to make a run. Townsend makes a pretty decent run. It actually gets intercepted. Townsend runs past the player, gets a strike away, and he pops him back in the net to make it 2-0 to us. And basically everything's going through Andros Townsend. Everything I do goes down that left hand side, regardless of what team I'm with. It seems that any team I'm with, it's always down the left hand side. But at Southampton, I had Jay Rodriguez down the left hand side, and at Atletico Madrid, I had Antoine Griezmann. So it seems quite weird that everything goes down the left hand side. Maybe it's because I'm right handed and I like cutting in from the left hand side. I just don't know. But in the 60th minute of the match, you're Son on the ball. Basically, I was waiting for Townsend potentially to get his hat-trick. I mean, it was all sort of dependent on if he wanted the hat-trick or not, but for whatever reason, made no run at all. Eventually, Son ends up getting taken out by the centre-back. To be fair, it looks like he gets the ball to me, but again, the game can decide all it wants. And Holberg ends up taking the penalty kick, because Holberg, for whatever reason, has a penalty kick stat of like 88 or something. And they end up putting it in the back of the net to make it 3-0 to us. He scores his first goal for the club, and basically more or less cements our status in the Europa League. So basically, we're top of the table with, I think, with 9 points, like definitely easily, like there's no difference to that, and it just makes our life a lot easier with having that. So basically, now the next match in the Europa League will be away to Ludogorets, and hopefully we can just end up from that, move on, and get the qualification done, so I can just skip the matches, because there's no point playing the other 2 matches if we've already qualified, basically, is what I'm saying. But as you see here, I'll just show you the rest of the results from the other teams, from the other groups. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because the majority of them, I don't really care, because I can destroy anyone in this game, as you already know, because I'm unbeaten still, aren't I? So, with that being said, we're 5 points clear of Ludogorets. We were the team just before Liverpool, and as you see there, look at that team in Group 11, my god, so goddamn close. But anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for more, and catch you later.